Welcome to Over Soju. I'm Cho alongside Kyung. We're glad you could join us for our first episode. A little about the podcast and what we plan on delivering in the coming episodes. We're expatriates living in Korea with experiences in English teaching, media, and other trades. And we're always curious as to how the country works and how we could personalize things for a more comfortable and convenient living standard as a foreign community. You might also hunger to search for new spots for the latest food and drinks, solutions to daily living such as housing and banking, and discovering hot trends in culture and entertainment. And to execute an excellent podcast session, Kyung and I will discuss hot topics, and also sometimes with friends, acquaintances, and professionals with first-hand knowledge and expertise on those topics addressed. We want each and every episode to be informative, engaging, but above all, a fun listening experience. Before we get down to brass tacks, like and subscribe to our podcast channel. Shall we? Really? Right at the beginning? Really? Right at the beginning. Okay.
All right, go.
All right. So, what are we talking about today, Kyung?
Today we're talking about getting a driver's license in Korea.
That's right. So, we both have driver's licenses in Korea.
Sure.
Correct.
Unfortunately.
Have you? Well, I'll kind of jump to the end right now. Have you driven in Korea before?
Yes, plenty of times. This is my third year, I think.
Okay. All right. Nice. Yeah. How would you? I guess what would be your short spiel about your opinion of driving in Korea? Like the good and the bad.
Ironically, fun and hellish. Right. Fun if you're driving alone.
Yeah.
And hellish if you're having a passenger sitting beside you or behind you, thinking about their safety.
Oh yeah.
When you alone want to drive like a racer, you know.
Yeah. Were your driving experiences, were they only in Seoul?
Yeah, in Seoul and in the countryside.
Oh, okay. Well, I've driven one time in Korea, but I've only driven in Jeju, just when I was on vacation there. I've never driven in Seoul, and I think that's pretty daunting. But we'll get to that in just a little bit. Let's go back to the beginning. So, Kyung, how did you get your driver's license?
Okay, so I had a New Jersey State driver's license. Should I just do New Jersey?
You can say that.
Okay, so I had a New Jersey State issued driver's license.
Yeah.
But that expired while I was in Korea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, funny me, you could actually go back to the States and then renew the expired driver's license. But, I kind of threw that away, or I think I gave it away, or I think as a souvenir to someone. Uh-huh. Don't ask me why I did that.
Wait, someone in Korea?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then I guess you had to pretty much register for a Korean driver's license from scratch, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I registered from 2017.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So then let's talk about in the beginning parts of the registration process. Well, first, what was your first step? You had to, get the information for how to do it, right? So where'd you go?
Right. So I was working in Gangnam, and the closest DMV equivalent that they had was in Samsung Station.
Okay.
And they had exchanges for internationals, but I didn't have that.
Yeah.
So they said that I had to go from scratch.
Okay.
So, for example, the process goes like this. The written test, the course test, and the road test.
Oh, okay.
So you have to go through 3 stages.
All right, so there's 3 main testing components. What about even before that? Were there any particular documents that you had to prepare?
Well, it's kind of like going into like the embassy or going into like immigration to renew your visa.
Okay.
Nothing too heavy, I guess. Okay. I think you can submit your alien registration.
Okay.
Or if you don't have that, like your passport.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So your ARC and or passport.
Right, and the application form.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. And then also a photo for the application form, right?
Oh, right. Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
Right. Sorry about that. So a lot of you might forget about photos. So there are a lot of photo booths in the subways.
Oh, it's like the immigration office where they have
exactly.
Okay. Yeah. All right, cool. All right, so then let's go into the first part, the written test. All right, what was that like?
First part of the written test was like the DMV in the States. You kind of memorize everything. And you can opt for Korean or English. I'm not sure if they have it in other languages, but you'll probably have to find out with KO Road, K-O road.
Now, later on, I'll talk about my experience about just simply exchanging my U.S. license into a Korean one. But I also did go through the beginning stages of the process that you went through. I did the written test and the course test.
Right.
Now, from my recollection about the written test, I thought a lot of the questions, like, there were just the differences were just slightly off for me, like based off of my experience of driving in the U.S. But because of that, that just got me so confused about the answering the questions, and that's why I failed the first time. I had to take it again. What about you? Did you have like that kind of experience?
Not exactly. I mean, well, look. I mean, I failed the first time.
Yeah.
My writing test,
Mm-hmm.
my written test,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it was kind of unfamiliar for me, about the driving, the traffic laws.
Yeah.
But down the second time that I took the test,
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of obvious,
Yeah.
because the answer, it's a multiple choice.
Yeah.
And the answer that is the longest
Mm-hmm.
and the one that makes the most sense are combined into that same answer. I mean, once you tick those in or
Yeah.
fill those in, then
Okay.
it's pretty obvious.
All right.
Yeah.
I think so. To give an example of what I was talking about, I think one thing that I was really worried about was not really knowing traffic signs, like the different types of traffic signs that they use in Korea, and there were certain ones that I'd never seen. I think one of them was just like this circular red and blue sign, which I just had no idea what that was.
Right.
And so that was one of my big worries. Another thing. I don't know like what the reported speed limits are for certain types of roads, like for the highway or just like regular streets.
Right.
Yeah, all that stuff. Like I was just super confused.
Right. I was also confused with the sign that had the speed limit, the number of the speed, and then they had a circle with a cross diagonal. And it meant in Korean it says heje.
Okay.
But I at first I didn't really know what that meant. It kind of meant it's no longer a 30 speed limit road.
Oh, so that sign signifies that it goes like
You could go beyond that.
I mean, goes higher.
Yeah.
Or it just simply changes.
The speed limit changes
Gotcha.
from one section to the next.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, like the second time, how did you prepare for it? I mean, did you have any like supplementary material to study off of?
Yeah. They if you go to the Co-Road website, KOROAD.
.co.kr.
Right, or
Yeah.
you could Google it or Naver it.
Yeah.
They have a lot of different like references.
Okay.
They even have like an English website.
Yeah.
So it's fairly easy navigation.
I believe for preparing for my second time, I think they also have practice tests on there as well. Because I think I did one of the practice tests in order to prepare the second time.
Right.
Okay.
It's fairly resourceful.
Yeah. I do remember a really funny thing is that my first time when I went there, and I believe, was yours computerized or was it you did?
It was computerized.
Yeah, same with me. And you get the scores immediately, and there's a very nice old Korean lady at the front. She's like the test moderator.
Right.
And then as soon as I go up to her, she looks at my score and she says, "Oh, next time." Then I left.
Yeah, true, but that's like rubbing salt on one's wound,
That's what I was thinking. But then also, I think I also went when she showed me my score. I think I just visibly went, "Oh, ouch!" So
I just wanted to kick the chair. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then eventually you passed the written test. So what's the next part?
So they so it's like one document that goes through the whole stages, like the 3 stages.
Yeah.
So they put like a stamp or a markup on it, and then you have to wait a couple of days for the course test.
Yeah.
Which is driving around in a course with several obstacles and several actions that you have to execute.
Yeah, I remember this as well. I did it, and let's talk about your experience first. All right. I mean, how would you rate the difficulty of that when you did it?
Okay, so difficulty wise, well, the first time I took it, I thought, I felt like, I already know how to drive, so I'll drive like I'm driving around my neighborhood back in New Jersey.
Yo, this is my car.
Right, exactly. And then there are the following obstacles that I remember.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is going up a hill,
Mm-hmm.
like a slight inverted hill.
Okay.
A slight incline hill.
Yeah, and sorry to cut you off, but just a side question.
Yeah.
Where was the general location where you did your course test?
Okay, so from what I recollect, there was Omokyo
Okay.
in Mokdong, and also the course test that I took was in the same location, Samsung.
Okay.
Yeah, they have a course test.
Wait, Samsung? That's like Gangnam. Omokyo is
Yeah.
like, yeah, but there's like completely different. Oh, so you had to go to two different sites.
Oh no. I'm
Oh.
just saying that. There
Oh,
are
that-
several locations.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Going back to the course test.
Right. So the first challenge is there's an incline, like slight incline,
Okay.
but you have to kind of like stay in that one spot
Mm-hmm.
without passing the line behind you.
Okay.
So you kind of have to press the acceleration slightly, and once you pass that,
Mm-hmm.
do you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you pass that, from what I remember, you have to go around, and this, my driving test was in the summer,
Mm-hmm.
so there are these dudes in Paris, like sitting in like under parasols, like in summer like beach benches,
Okay.
and then they tell you which like driveway that you should go to, and that's where you do the T parking, or kind of like the equivalent of parallel parking.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you go all the way to the end,
Mm-hmm.
and then to your right or to your left,
Mm-hmm.
there is a parking space.
Okay.
So you gotta do the reverse,
Okay.
right? And once after you park, you have to maneuver yourself out of it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Okay.
But it's actually a very tight space when you move out,
Mm-hmm.
right? So my first time, I reversed and I went forward,
Yeah.
right? But because in front of me the space was so tight, I thought that we could jiggle, right?
What do you mean jiggle?
Jiggle means when reverse, go forward, reverse,
I
go
see.
forward.
Okay.
But from what I remember, you can't do that because the guy from the parasol just opened my door and said, "Get in back." And I was like, "Why?" He's like, "You failed the test."
Did he really?
Yes.
Wow, that's
Right.
kind of a cold splash of water in the
Right.
face.
And the scoring system is also computerized.
Okay, so yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. And well, let me just go into a short spiel about my experience. Because I did not, for when I did the course test, I didn't have to do parking. I did my course test at a facility kind of in the general area where the World Cup Stadium is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so for my course test, I didn't have to do any type of parking. I didn't have to, like, there wasn't any hill or anything. It was literally like a kind of a donut track where I just simply go around and then I'm done. But for the computerized parts in the car, like I did do certain features, like I think test the turning signals.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I forgot about that.
Yeah, like you
Yeah.
had to be able to turn on and off all the different features of your car, like
the window wipers,
things like windshield
signaling,
wipers,
yeah,
signaling, brake, accelerator,
Right.
and for me, the experience was kind of terrible because of the computer system, because you had to do it at a specific time. And I think I was listening to the English instructions. And the English instructions, they would say, for example, when you are instructed, turn the steering wheel to the left.
Right.
And then as soon as I was done, I would just do that. But then a second later, the computer would say, do it now, or turn left. And because I did the wrong I mistimed the turn,
Yeah.
I automatically got points off.
Right. It's a delayed response.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it drove me crazy. And
Right.
I believe you start at 100. At least for me, I started at 100 points. Everyone just started at 100 points in the
Right,
computer
right, right.
system. every error takes off points. The minimum, I think the passing score
70.
I think for me it was 80.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, by the end of the on-course test, I was exactly at 80.
Sure.
And I was just like, thank God.
No, I had a similarly frustrating experience because when the computer told me in Korean or English to signal to the left,
do a certain action.
Signal to the left, I would just like, all right, signal to the left.
Just do it right now.
And then turn it back on. And then turn it back to normal. And it'd be like, error. Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is going on, So, yeah, I mean, like, I thought it was like, whoa, I have to memorize everything, So,
and also memorize the timing of it as well.
Right.
It's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I failed 4 times.
Oh,
right.
Ouch.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Until I found out that you had to memorize everything because there are references on YouTube on how to memorize these things.
Really?
Yes.
Are we these are like Korean instruction videos?
The Korean instruction videos are more comprehensive, but there are also English ones.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Right.
All right. Well, then finally you pass, and then that's where my experience with this ends. I believe afterwards, that's when you get kind of like a learner's permit, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Okay.
It's kind of like a permit, like when you get it, like when you're 16 in the States.
Yeah.
Right. Before your big day.
Yeah.
To get the driver's license.
Yeah, and like so long as you carry that, like you can drive a car with another person who does have a license.
Sure.
From what I remember. Okay, and then. How long was it until you did the actual, I guess, on-road test?
So like the time between my course test and the driver's test was about a week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was that like, did you have to wait that long, or was it possible to actually do everything on the same
There
day?
is a time. There is a fixed time that you have to wait.
Oh, okay.
Right.
All right.
I'm not really sure like what the fixed period is, but there's also videos for that.
Okay.
Right, because like since I'm going to do it in Gangnam, there are multiple locations where you can take the driver's test.
Yeah.
But it has to be on the streets.
Yeah.
Right. And even on the streets, they have courses selected.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
So there are courses A, B, C, D per se.
Yeah, but I mean, going back, you were doing this in Gangnam? Like you were driving in the streets of Gangnam?
I was doing this in Gangnam.
That's
and
rough.
I thought the same way as you are right now.
Yeah.
And you don't even know what you can't even select the courses. They select the courses for you. It's all random.
Okay.
So I was ready for it that day, because I memorized everything on YouTube. It's not in Korean or English. It's just what the courses will be like. So just YouTube it.
Oh, is it just like literally a video of someone doing the course?
Right.
Like a dash cam video?
Right. So I think it's or it's like a car following that car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think what you can do is you can type in the keyword co-road. And then they'll show a variety of different videos.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long was the on-road test? Like how? Like
I'll tell you, it felt like an hour, but in reality, I think it took about 25-30 minutes.
Okay. And I guess for the course that you took, the course that the instructor chose, were there any? How would you say, like any details that stood out for you? Like any particular direction that you had to do that was a little maybe complicated or something?
Sure. I mean, like since you're doing the driving test and you're following all these traffic laws, you also have to like learn how to do U-turns. You kind of disregard or you kind of like ignore what other cars are doing, like surrounding you. As long as you keep to the speed limit, it feels invisible.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
But that's your discipline. If you are disciplined enough to ignore it, then I think you're good.
Okay.
And they try to scare you sometimes by saying, you make this one more mistake, then you're screwed.
No way. Do they
Right.
really say that?
Right. Wow. Exactly. So yeah, you don't try to let impeded traffic get to you.
Okay.
Right.
All right. But during this entire process, did you ever think about going to a driving school? Because I know that there are now driving schools in Korea and they market towards foreigners as well to get English instruction.
Yeah, but I drove in New Jersey, so I didn't really need that shit. And plus, I've been kind of driving illegally before I got this driver's license, so...
We'll cut that out.
Why?
Okay.
No, make it rebellious.
Okay, cool. All right, and then you passed it. Did you take that just one time?
Yeah, just one time.
Oh, nice.
That was the first. That was the last stage was the only stage where I didn't have to fail. It was just the one single time that I passed it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And then afterwards, I mean, that's it. You just get it.
Yeah, they issue you a card. It's kind of looks similar to the alien registration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And just like you just feel like celebrating.
Nice.
So.
Okay.
All right, so Cho, you have experience about exchanging your international driver's license with a Korean driver's license, correct?
Yeah, so I went the other way where I had my still valid driver's license from the U.S. And at certain places, you can go to the, I guess, it's like a satellite office of the Korean DMV, specifically for people who are trying to exchange their driver's license from whatever country they are into a Korean one. Now, this one's a little bit tricky because you do need to actually collect a lot of different documents. Some of the basic things are your passport, your ARC, your driver's license, your American driver's license, the application, and I think there are one or two other documents as well that you need to get.
A photo including a photo.
Yeah, obviously a photo as well. Now, I will say that you do need to check with immigration and with the Korean DMV to make sure that your country is on the list of acceptable driver's license exchanges.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're from an English-speaking country, I believe you'll have pretty much no problem.
Most likely, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Every other country, you got to check beforehand. So when I went there, and also you do have to make an appointment beforehand and be prepared to wait physically. When I went there, I went to the Seoul Global Center in Cheongdo, I believe.
Yeah.
And there's one person handling all of those driver's license exchanges, and every single day she probably has maybe I would say somewhere between 50 and 60 people waiting, and she doesn't get through all of them. And you have to wait there for a very long time. So be prepared to be cutting out your entire day for this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, from what I remember back when I had to get my driver's license from scratch. Mm-hmm. Sorry for mentioning this, but I think I had to schedule that too.
Okay.
Yeah, into a slot that was still available. Yeah.
Yeah.
But any other challenges that you were faced with, with exchanging the licenses?
So for the most part, no. It's just simply making sure that you have all your documents set beforehand. Then it's just simply a waiting game.
Okay.
But then once you do that, you'll get your license. And what's really cool is that I believe starting last year, they just start coming out with these new versions of the licenses. And so for my license, I have the Korean version on one side and then an English version on the other side. And what I've heard, I haven't tested this yet, but if your country is on, I guess, their registered list of acceptable driver's license, then also they might have a relationship with your country, and you could possibly use your Korean driver's license in your respective country if you ever go back. And I thought that maybe you need some type of supplementary material in addition to the license. From what I've heard but haven't tested is that just so long as you have this and it's in the English language, or I guess the language whatever works in your country, then it could be still acceptable there. It's almost like you're just carrying an international driver's license, which is really cool.
Have you tested it out?
Not yet, because the only other places aside from Korea that I've driven is just America, and I already have a U.S. driver's license.
Oh, so you never got stopped by police officer,
Oh, no.
traffic cop
No.
in the States,
No.
and
Yeah.
showed him that
Yeah.
card. I see.
Yeah. But I guess the process compared to yours was a bit more streamlined. It just really depends on making sure you have all your documents correct, all the wording. For me personally, I had a little trouble because of my middle name. My middle name was spelled a bit differently on certain documents. I had to get that all fixed beforehand, but then eventually once that was all fixed, you can get it on the same day.
I see.
Yeah.
And why did you decide to exchange your? And why did you decide to get your driver's license?
So I've been thinking about buying a car, or at the very least, I would like to have access to all of the car sharing services that they have in Korea. Like there's places where you can just register to use a car for like a couple hours and then put it back in the same parking spot.
Oh yeah, like SoCar, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really cool for like a weekend trip or something.
Right.
And so that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to get my driver's license. Now, I'm glad you mentioned that as well, because one thing that people should know after they get their Korean driver's license, that for those services like SoCar or even rental car, you can't use it. You can't use those services until your driver's license is at least a year old in Korea.
Oh really?
Yeah. And that drove me crazy. I was
Sure.
just wondering, what was the point of getting this? The only reason I wanted the driver's license was to, get
Right.
to be able to use these services.
Well, I mean, you also have to present some kind of a car insurance, right? Proof of.
Well, no, I mean for like the rental services.
Yeah.
I mean they take care of all the insurance. Like,
Okay.
You don't have to do it. But I think because of insurance purposes, they will only allow people with driver's license that are at least 1 year old.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a big shock and also a really big letdown.
I see.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Fuck. Oh, what else?
All right, cool. So I think those are the main ways to get a Korean driver's license. Anything else to add, Kyung?
Yeah, I mean, you could use these. You could use your driver's license to, borrow e-scooters or other forms of like.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, exactly. Electric vehicles.
Yeah, because all of like the electric scooter services that you see on the street, many of them they will require a Korean driver's license.
Right.
And then also there's another way. There's another kind of temporary measure that we didn't really talk about. Just simply getting an international driver's permit. I'm sorry, from your home country. Because I've done that before. I went to in the U.S. There's the big travel insurance agency called AAA, where they also issue international driver's permits, and Korea is on the list where that's allowed to be used. So. And then for my country, the U.S., there is a way you can get that through the mail. So you can contact them online if you want to go through that option. And possibly in other people's respective countries, that could also work for them as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that concludes our first episode. Thanks for listening. For more resources on exchanging your license or even getting your license from scratch, check out koro.or.kr. One last reminder to like and subscribe to our podcast. We'd really appreciate it. And let us know in the comments section about any other topics in Korea you'd like for us to talk about and explore. So long.
less than fashionable cubbyhole of the San Francisco Examiner, these editors are programming today's copy of the paper into that same Ohio computer. When the telephone connection between these two terminals is made, the newest form of electronic journalism lights up Mr. Howard.